Good afternoon and welcome to Legacy After the Locker Room. I'm your host, Kayla Bradham, here today with NFL alumni, children's author, Tavon Mason. Hello, Tavon.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me on board.
You're welcome. Juneteenth today, and we have a special treat. Children's author, making a difference in the community, helping kids with literacy. And I'm going to ask you to read that book a little bit later in the podcast. But before we do, Tavon, tell us your football story as a boy. How did your love for sports bloom?
It bloomed through my brother, through my father. Father was a sports nut. He would literally watch any sport, so happened to be a sport, which was pretty cool. I think what kind of like drove me to wanting to play sports is playing it in the neighborhood. From what I'm seeing now, a lot of our youth don't have the older boys in the neighborhood. So I used to get roughed up by the older boys in the neighborhood, whether it was basketball, football, even when we would play baseball. But football I kind of like gravitated to football. I think just the whole makeup of it, the tackling and scoring touchdowns. And when you do something big against the older boys, it kind of like puffs your chest out. So I started very young in elementary school. My older brother is 4 years older than me. But it became, I started playing organized in fifth grade when one of the older boys in my neighborhood, Rodney Petit, came home from practice and he had his equipment on. And I asked him, Rodney, where did you get that from? He said, from Woodlawn Rec. So in 1990, kicked it off with Woodlawn Raiders. And from that point on, it just kept growing and growing and growing each phase, from elementary, middle, to high school. I loved the sport from watching it, again, playing against my older brother and the older boys in the neighborhood, playing with my friends. And it's something that I wanted to do. I just wanted to know how can I do it more. I was starting to see the posters, the Jerry Rices, the Jim Kellys, Joe Montanas, Marcus Allen, those guys, but I didn't know how you go about getting to that point, but I just knew I wanted to play that sport.
So not knowing how to get to that point, you come from a pretty prestigious college.
Yeah.
You graduated from?
University of Virginia.
There you go.
UVA, the University of Virginia.
That's right. Yeah. And you ended up in the NFL. Tell us a little bit about what that story looked like for you.
Just like a lot of our young guys, that's why I think I kind of like had more sympathy for, I guess, a quote unquote underdog, guys that go free agent, that play above and beyond on college, bust their butt to get ready and get that opportunity. So I got that opportunity as a free agent to go into mini camp with the New York Jets in 2002. Made it through through there, went through OTAs, went through preseason camp. All the way until the last cut. So I made it to almost to the last cut, both years, 02 and 03. And it was a pretty cool road to travel. I think the one thing that stuck out to me, I remember one day we just finished doing OTAs on the field. And a guy asked me for an autograph. And I was like, okay, no, I'll do that. I'm just thinking a piece of paper. But what really struck me was he opened up a notebook and he had about an 8x11 picture of me action shot that he took in camp. Somebody being a free agent, I played with Curtis Martin, Wayne Corbett, Santana Moss, Lavernius Cole, Vinny Testaverde, those guys. So I'm little old me. Why somebody want my autograph amongst those guys? Sean Ellis, those type of guys. And for him to have that picture, that kind of like struck in me that fans are the one that drives our backgrounds and drive our games. So I would literally, me and this guy would literally at every preseason game, he'd tell you, when I got a picture for you. So I started receiving cards in the mail and I'm like, hey, I got something for you. So I swap. I respect things, I understand sometimes, athletes tired, they don't want to sign autograph, but in my mind, I'm thinking him and there was a family also, they kind of like, they're the ones that allow me to play, because without them, no one would know us. I also had a family. It was a mom who would bring his daughter and her two sons out, and the son would stay right there by where the receivers would warm up. So I would be there warming up, And we got to the point where I would run over, high five, and we had talked during the practice. And it was one time after practice, we had a break. Coach Harm Edwards gave us a break. And I literally sat outside where we would stay at for 2 hours talking to the family, and the mom was like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hold you up." I'm like, no, no problem. I'm like, one, I don't have nothing to do. I'm from Baltimore. I'm all the way in Long Island. I said, two, I appreciate this for someone to gravitate to me when you have all of these stars on the team. That's pretty awesome. We would sit there and throw the ball. So, that experience for those 2 years, and it actually took me not until 2011 to understand what I accomplished. Because to me, my mind was, I didn't make it through the season. But to look back, to walk into the stadium and see my last name on a jersey, getting to play in the Pittsburgh Steelers Stadium, I played in the newer Giant Stadium, getting to play in Tokyo, Japan against Tampa Bay, so that stuff started to register like, no, I really did something that most don't get the opportunity to do. So even though I didn't get to play fully like I would like to, I still had a great time, playing with the New York Jets and being on those teams with those greats, those guys that Vinny Testaverde won the Heisman at 88. I was 8 years old. So to have my locker next to him and trying to contain my excitement, like, this is Vinny Testaverde. Or, one practice, Joe Namath came out. And I remember getting out the field and like darting to the locker room to get my cell phone and call my dad. Like, Dad, guess who's standing on the sideline, like 2 feet from me? Like, who? Like Joe Namath. He was like, what? Joe Namath? Like, yeah, like you standing right here. And as I was completing my sentence, Joe Namath comes sat down at the table next to me because they did a big alumni cookout. And I'm sitting next to Broadway Joe, the dude that made the prediction. So having that opportunity and how I work, I praise and salute those before me. So I always respect those before me. So to be able to see him, even Mark Gastineau before he passed away, he was in our bubble. So seeing these guys who I had like the pro player figurines that was like the highlight. Even though making there had my jersey, that's like the ultimate highlight.
I love it. You said something that stood out, and that's that you were in Baltimore and you're making a difference in the Baltimore community. I want to talk about that. Before we do, I want to remind our listeners, this is the Legacy After the Locker Room podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Bradham, here today with Tavon Mason. We are powered by the Sports Philanthropy Network, building stronger, healthier, and more inclusive communities. Our Sports Philanthropy World 2021 is coming up June 28th and 29th. For more information, you can go to www.sportsphilanthropynetwork.org. Tavon, you're doing big work in Baltimore, right? So transition out of the NFL. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Oh, it's tough. Like any other athlete, it's tough when that's what you want to do. And for me, felt like it got cut a little short. It was tough. I wanted to get away from the game. I did play in 2009 in indoor football, arena football back in Baltimore. And then eventually I realized it's time to move to the next level, start coaching, and 2011 started Tavon Mason Love the Kids organization. And that was just getting around. My thought process was I was able to make it, so I at least want to give back to the kids, whether it's going to visit them, speaking in different places or helping where I can help. So like my first event, I did like a sports fit day at a camp at one of the private schools there and talked to the kids. My second event, which touched my heart, and that place so happened to be what we would do up until now, all the way back in 2011, I went and visited Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital. I just contacted myself and introduced myself, and I'm Tavon Mason, Baltimore born and raised. I just wanted to come in and spend time, with the kids if possible. And Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital is a hospital similar to Kennedy Krieger that helped with kids who've been in accidents, that had health issues. So not your typical hospital, but for more to get them back in shape, So I actually spent like an hour and a half, and I remember having a young man who was in a wheelchair. He was like my guide. We sat in his room with his roommate. We played Xbox, played Madden on Xbox. He took me around. He was like a superstar. Everybody knew him, so he's introducing me to everybody. It did that for an hour and a half. And then 2 months after that, I went to Kennedy Krieger, which was a similar but a bigger hospital connected to Johns Hopkins. And I spent 2 hours there, with kids. So that kind of like started that flow of just getting back into the community, after my life after, to doing slipper drives. That kind of prompted us to start a slipper drive. We would collect slippers, any cartoon character slipper you can think, we collect. And we made our first visit in 2013 at the University of Maryland Children's Hospital, where we provided slippers for the kids. And we also was able to provide food for the parents. At that time, the cafeteria was on the other side of the hospital. And, me and you both are parents, and we know if our young kid is in a hospital bed or just finished having surgery, we don't want to leave that side. But by the time they would go to get something to eat, the cafeteria would be closed. Now we would be forced to leave out the hospital. So we were able to, me and my co-founder, Melissa Brown, was able to secure gift cards from Giant grocery store. And we had like a big food platter, sodas and drinks. And we put it in an area where the parents can literally walk not even a minute from their child's room and get food, and we just kept this moving. And up to date, we have visited 9 children's hospitals, 3 children's hospitals out of the state of Maryland, 1 in Norfolk, Virginia, the Children's Hospital of a King's Daughter, University of Virginia Children's Hospital. I went back to my college, and we started 2 years in a row of taking a drive up with about 200 to 300 pairs of slippers to the Ronald McDonald House on New Hyde Park in Long Island. I told my wife I wanted to visit a children's hospital near where I got to play, and the Ronald McDonald House. And just like that, we just find a contact and just send information out. And we would drive up to New York, and we just set up a table with all the slippers. And as the parents come in, they can grab slippers. And the one of the cool things about the Ronald McDonald House on New Hyde Park, we met families from different countries. So they had a big television screen in that main waiting area, and it would tell you the families they service. So you'll see names from the Middle East, Iraq, just all over. So getting to meet families from all over, and just to see how people in New York gravitated to that children's hospital. Like certain companies would have a theme room. So they would take a room where parents could stay and change it to a theme. They had like a jungle theme. When you walk in, it was an actual tree in the room, and they put like a stuffed leopard in the tree. They had a New York Mets room where it was like all New York Mets stuff. They had a New York Yankees room. They had like a hideaway cubby where, you get the brothers or siblings could sit there, close the gate, had small television. They even had a kind of like a meditation area, like kind of outside on the roof area for the parents. So to be able to go to these places, and do the slippers. We also did our winter coat towards you drive. It was very humbling to me and my staff, because, I think a lot of times as individuals, we move so fast and we want, we take a lot of stuff for granted. So to be able to go in these children's hospitals and to see them get excited over a pair of slippers, for us is like, oh, we just throw them away, we get a new pair, but these kids are in the hospital, they get super excited of having a Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse or Ninja Turtle slippers. It was kind of like our moment of, we got to reel ourselves back in, So yeah, we started with our slipper drive. We expanded to the winter coat and toiletry drive for the West Side Men's Shelter in West Baltimore County. We added a healthy snack drive. We just did it. We were able to pick back up for Camp St. Vincent de Paul. And Camp St. Vincent de Paul, again, is a place that, so St. Vincent's has an umbrella. They help homeless men, women, families, and children. So they start a camp. And a camp is catered to kids that live in shelters, transitional homes, and they get to come for free. So what we wanted to do was provide healthy snacks for the whole summer. So we started a drive, and with different friends, people all in the area who would see it. A great guy I just met recently, Coach Schamberg in Harford County area, got his teams on board. He coached youth baseball and basketball, and they collected like over 3,000 items that we just dropped off. And we like filled that whole pantry to help them get started for that summer camp. So that's just some of the things that we did, and I made the foundation a seasonal. I didn't want to cross over people, and that also gave me time to help other organizations. So yeah, that's Tavon Mason, Love the Kids. I just wanted to give back in a way that I was afforded opportunities, be able to go to a top tier university, get a scholarship, being able to go, with the New York Jets, and if I came back, go to camps, football camps, talk to kids, even when I coached at my high school, even helping those guys, get to certain places. So yeah, that's Tavon Mason, Love the Kids in a nutshell.
Well, you certainly do. And I oftentimes say that, in my opinion, and again, humbly, the work that athletes do after retirement truly seems more important than what they did out on the field
Yeah,
or out on the court.
yeah,
And I'm so thankful that football afforded you the opportunity to become the CEO of Tavon Mason Loves the Kids, right? Because what a
yeah.
difference you're making. So I live in Milwaukee. You're in the Baltimore area. We know what cities look like, but I know a lot of our listeners don't. Can
Mhm.
you share a little bit about the demographics in Baltimore? Because my friend Matt Lawrence from the Ravens has told me stories of families sleeping in cars.
Yeah, again, the networking piece is huge. So over the years, and regardless of us having, and Matt probably can testify to this, us having an NFL tag, people still want to know whether you are true to helping or is it just a publicity stunt. I think that's like one of the things that us as athletes who really want to help, we got to get past, whether it's a publicity stunt or whether this is for photos, or whether someone is saying, hey, if you do this, it's to bring your value up, and really, and I mean by really getting into it, and what we said off air about Matt, really getting into the nitty gritty or getting into these areas, and I know they have them in Milwaukee all over, and the pandemic had kind of opened the eyes of everybody. Like a lot of these areas that we probably wouldn't think would have these areas, they do have them. But, I was able to link up with a group, the Food Project, right in the heart of kind of like Southwest Baltimore. And it's real close near West Side Shopping Center where I used to frequent as a kid with my mom and grandmother. But you have a lot of kids that live in abandoned houses. They call them bandos. They live in abandoned houses, and you have a lot of organizations that what I call ground zero that set up right there and set up food trucks to get them to come out and help them out, and with them, knocking down a lot of the project areas that build up, expensive homes, in which I know they do, the gentrification across the United States, it plays a role in a lot of our kids being able to be kids. I think this generation is the biggest generation that have to take on adult issues. And I know you working in the school system, I work in the school system, and you see it on a regular, of kids having to take care of younger brothers when they go home and they can't really be kids themselves. So, you do have that. You have kids, if the reason why they come to school is to get breakfast and lunch, because they might not have that dinner when they get home, or why they have that attitude. And it's not directly towards you, but it's because of something that might happen at home. So just trying to get rid of that, their that anger and give them a place or a shoulder to lean on is real huge. So yeah, it is. The demographic, of course. Like again, you might have a house that's livable. You might have 4 houses next to it that's abandoned. You might have another house that's livable, and then you just have a row of abandoned houses. So, Matt Lawrence, myself, a good friend of mine is Joe Gamble, a good friend of mine is Tia Hamilton that opened an urban Reed's bookstore off of Greenmount Avenue, which is one of the high areas in Baltimore, East Baltimore. So trying to put these things in place in certain areas to try to help, because government can't do everything, whether it's on the state or local level. They can't do everything because they have their agenda. So having people who truly want to be a part of it is huge, and to help our kids. And I think the biggest thing is once we get kids to trust that, you're really here to help, because a lot of them have had that time where, they put their trust in and somebody left out, and if you can really get their trust, you'll have it for life.
Yeah. And, because we're both educators, Tavon, I think this is a great time to kind of speak to parents who struggled through COVID while they were at work and their kids were at home trying to do virtual learning and
Yeah.
watch their little brothers and sisters and trying to get lunch for the little ones. Hey, parents, you did a great job, and your kids got stronger through this. I had classes where my students were coming in with little brothers or sisters on their lap, and they were
Yeah.
spoon feeding them baby food during literature class. And, it's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, parents, for getting your kids into the classroom. Tavon, do you want to speak on that as an educator?
Yeah. And no, and the thing, and I know we often see where it's more like in the city and the urban areas, but I work in Baltimore County, which I'm starting to see that share what we call food deserts of having areas where there's no grocery store in like a 5 to 10 mile radius, and they were feeling it too. They were struggling with it as well, and again, I work in the special ed department. So a lot of our kids not having the resources they would have in the school building, at home. Like you said, either parents are working or they by themselves. They got to play the parent. So not having that resource was very huge. And you can see the drop off because their attention, they want to be there, even though it may have been a struggle in the building, but being at home, you're in the comforts of your home. You don't want to turn your camera on, and you really don't care because it's just starting to shut down. So, again, just like you said, to the parents, to teachers, guidance counselors, everybody that either had food giveaways. I know in Baltimore City, a lot of schools, even in Baltimore County, they did a lot of where families could pick up lunches and breakfasts if they wanted to. So, that was one thing I had told somebody. I saw the pandemic as a gift and a curse. The curse, of course, was what we went through, shut down, money, jobs lost. But the gift was it made a lot of people on all levels, especially at higher levels, they had to sit down and realize like what we thought our country wasn't. We have real life issues. So what stuff we see in other countries or like they consider third world countries, we were on that brink of that because we was moving so fast and we had that horse race mentality, having blinders on, but making everybody sit down and see what was going on across our country, whether it was hunger, whether it was the racial issues, things like that. We had to see it, and it opened our eyes, to school systems doing equity work, equity training, people realizing like within their own selves of how I work to kids who will come in. Yeah, they might have been fussing, they might have made you mad, but it's something behind it, that forces sometimes kids to act out in that way. And then once you start understanding, like, yeah, a lot of these kids go home to nothing, or that resource was in that building, regardless they cuss at you or yell at you, but it's something that they're working through. And even us as adults. So yeah, it's just it was tough. And like again, I salute, the teachers who had to brave through it, the parents, the kids that had to brave through it, to get through this pandemic.
Yeah. And it didn't stop because throughout the pandemic, even now, you're working hard to promote literacy
Oh yeah.
in the community,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Tavon Mason writes a book, Tavon Does It All. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about what inspired you to write the book. And then if you don't mind, it's a children's book, so I know it's not a chapter book. I'm going to ask you if you don't mind reading it to our
Yeah.
listeners.
Not a problem at all. So yeah, this is Tavon Does It All. And what inspired me, it actually was Ashley Chesney. So we connected on Instagram through my foundation Instagram page. And she asked out of the question, she asked the question of, have you ever written a book? And I had written one, but I just had it sitting there. I didn't know how to go about publishing and everything. So she was like, we went over the cost of everything. And she's like, you know what? I'll create an independent company on you as my first author. So we came up with Tavon Does It All. And she was like, I think we need to start off with you, because of your background. That's real intriguing with the NFL and we came up with Tavon Does It All. But the sweet thing behind this book is, if you can see, everything that's on there is what I do with the organization. So we have the slipper drive. We had a report card. I push education like strongly more than I push the football fact, because all the kids that I talk to, and again, I know you see it and you work in the school system, football, basketball, what's your plan B? How is your grade? So I push that. I talk about the NFL for a few minutes, but I would always take my college degree with me. You know what I mean? And I would tell the kids, like, yeah, I love the fact that I played in NFL and it was short, but I got my college degree and no one can take that from me. And at the time that I graduated from college and my family, only two of us had graduated, my brother and myself, and that's on my mother and father's side. But now we have multiple cousins who have graduated. But so that education factor is key to me, whether it's with my own kids or even with the kids I work with in my school, mentoring program, or just who I talk to. Even when I coach, that's the first thing I talk about. Okay, you want to go to college, play ball, but how's the grades looking to get you there? And what are your plans once school is done? I mean, I know you want to get to the NFL, but what if that doesn't work? Then I refer back to myself. I played 2 years, so what will be your plan B? And that kind of like stupefies them, because they were like, I never thought about that. Only thing I think about is football. And I'm like, yeah, I've been there as well. I wanted to do that as well. And the last thing on the book is the storybook. I started a Tavon Mason Love the Kids reading tour back in 2015, where I visited 3 to 4 Baltimore County Public Libraries and Baltimore City Enoch Pratt Libraries throughout the summer. And I will read different children books. My book I added in, and I also would include exercises. So I made it a kind of like let's get moving literacy, because I wanted to make reading fun again. I saw where with technology advancing, which isn't bad, but we were losing our kids on the physical aspect of reading. And I would incorporate reading and exercise. So I read a book, and we do like jumping jacks, and I'm like really getting them fired up, are you ready? And I told them, like, well, I will make as much noise as possible, but I wanted to do it on purpose to grab the attention of the people in the library, because normally in the library, you're supposed to be quiet. But I wanted the noise. So I wanted people to turn around like, what's going on over there, to bring more people over. Or they ask at the customer service, that's former NFL player Tavon, he's doing his reading tour. Then it started igniting to where by the time the next year rolled around, I'm starting getting messages. You coming back this year, right? And that's what I wanted it to do. So I felt like the actual book was starting to become obsolete. Only time kids will read anything with a book is unless they were in school or if their parents, brought it out to them. So that was another way of making literacy fun. So that was everything on the book. And this actual picture on the cover, which people don't know, but this is an actual picture of me from when I played at Woodlawn Rec. So I played with the Woodlawn Rams, and as you can see in the top corner, that's the actual picture of me in the 7th grade, same number and everything. Yeah, 7th grade in the book. So again, taking this book, and it's about me, but making it real for kids. One of the things that stuck out, Ashley started a reading program in Detroit, where she was from, in Michigan. And she asked the students, that one of the young girls, like, what do you like about the book? And the one thing she pulled out was that the character looked like her. So, having that representation for our kids to see themselves as characters in books. So that was like a big thing, and it was like a big accomplishment of mine. I never would thought in a million years that I would write a book, a children's book. And this is actually my first one to have a second one, a Justice Duo that I wrote with Joe Gann, was a collaborative piece. But to have my actual book, Tavon Does It All, was pretty cool to have.
Tavon, will you read it for us?
Oh, yeah, definitely will. So boys and girls, even my adults, because I know my adults had loved it as well. But, this is Tavon Does It All. And let's get to it. So it's written by Tavon Mason with Miss Ashley Chesney, and illustrated by Thomas Barnett. All right. I'm going to go back again. I know I showed you guys this picture, Um, but it's more on this page. So that's a picture of me in 7th grade. I got a picture of my actual New York Jets football card. And this one is the most important. That's a picture of my University of Virginia degree. So that's the actual copy of the degree that I put in the book. So I just wanted to keep reiterating to you guys of how important education is for you guys as young kids. I know right now y'all hate school. I just want to get out of here, but it plays an important role in your development when you get older. How to read, how to count money, how to add, and just to get you to that next level that you want to get to. I also put a quote in here for you guys. All right. So, and this is a quote that I wrote. It said, "Believe, succeed, and reach for the stars. Only you can stop your dreams from being real. Dare to be great." So I use that quote, "Dare to be great," or that word "dare to be great," a lot in the past few years with my organization. And for you kids, I just wanted you guys to always dare to be great. And what that means is, no matter what anybody say, what they say you can't do, you always gonna have friends. You always gonna have doubters. That's just how our world is set up. But you always dare to be great, greater than what the opposition is telling you to be. You know what I mean? I was told, I even have articles when I was coming out of college. Oh, he's small, he plays small, but I made it. You know what I mean? I got the opportunity. I got the jersey. I had my last name on it. You know, as you can see, I have a football card. You know what I mean? So skies is the limit, but it starts with you guys first. You have to believe. I'm not telling you, I'm not saying what your parents say you should do, but if it's something that you want to do, if you go full 100% to it, you got to believe it. And that's what dare to be great means. And also believe, succeed, and reach for the stars. Again, that word believe, you got to believe you will succeed, and you just keep reaching. And only you can stop your dreams. No one else can stop it. You have to believe that. I believe that. And that's what got me to right here, you know, to doing that. Again, with the children's book, I doubted myself with this. I never think, I didn't think I would do this. And I got a children's book that's out, you know, actually 2 children's books that's out. So again, it's not all about the sport aspect. Doctor, teacher, police officer, author, artist. If that's what you want to do, you do it to 100%. Hit the gas pedal, 100%. All right, so let's get into it. And I want to show you guys something, you know, for you guys that actually buy the book, something that we put in the back that a lot of people love. We have a built-in coloring book in the back of the picture, in the back of the book. So it's a built-in coloring book. The cover of the book got some of the pictures from the book that you can actually color. And my boys loved it. My little boys loved it. So we put a built-in coloring book. That way, as soon as you finish reading, you can roll right to coloring them. All right, so let's get this thing rolling. All right. So we go on this side. So this is a picture. So y'all can see, they got Tavon scoring a touchdown. His fans are going crazy. So no, pretty much a lot of y'all gonna probably think, well, why write a book of yourself scoring touchdowns? All right, so but I want you guys to grab hold of what the message is of this book, and I'll go over it at the end. But why write Tavon Does It All? You know, and think about. So I want y'all to remember when y'all watch this cast, think about the cover, all the items that's on the cover. I want y'all to think about that: the book, the report card, and the slippers. All right. So Tavon was a football player. In fact, he was the best player on the Rams football team. But there was something even more special about Tavon. Soon his teammates would find out exactly what it was. Tavon was always the first one to practice and the last one to leave. He scored the most touchdowns during the season, but he also helped his teammates become better football players. Whenever his teammates needed help with plays, Tavon would stay late after practice to help them. All right, so that's a message right there. All right, so we got sportsmanship, being a good teammate. You know, so if Tavon was a star player, why would he need to stay after to help his other teammates? But that was one of the things he wanted to do to help his teammates, again, believe, succeed, and reach for the stars. All right. Everyone knew that Tavon was especially kind. When his team lost a game, Tavon was sure to show great sportsmanship. He would shake hands with the other team's players and tell them, "Good game." Then Tavon would keep his teammates motivated to work even harder to win the next game. Tavon worked so hard at football that all his teammates knew that Tavon would become a big-time football star. They all had the same dream. It was all they thought about and imagined. They believed that being a professional athlete was all that Tavon thought about too. But soon they would find out that there was more to Tavon than they could have ever known. All right. So again, another click. All right, here we go. So now it's game time. I know if any of my kids watch this and my parents can attest to this, at that moment where you hear the coach yelling out plays and screaming at you and we all in the huddle. All right, so we about to see what happened. But one thing I want y'all to keep in mind, if y'all see that time clock, that game clock says 10 seconds. All right. So most of y'all probably thinking we're winning, we're about to win this. Some of y'all might think, oh, they losing because the coach is yelling. And y'all see on his clipboard, he got some plays. So let's see what's happening. It was the day of the biggest game of the season, the championship game. The Rams were playing their rival team, the Colts. The game announcer began giving a play-by-play. The Rams are down by 2 points. So there we go. So we're losing by 2 points with 10 seconds on the clock, right? So I'm going to ask y'all, and I know y'all can't answer me yet, but I know y'all can put the comments in it. Do you think we won this game? All right, we're going to see. They have a second down on the Chiefs 20, on the Colts 20-yard line with just seconds left on the clock. The Rams quarterback throws an incomplete pass to Tavon. Tough breaks for the Rams. Anyone can see that the Rams are starting to feel the championship game slipping away. The Rams coach, Coach Green, calls a timeout to talk to his team about the next play they will run. So that's that picture again, right? He got them in the huddle, tell them what they're going to do. We're going to have to kick a field goal, guys, he says. We have a third down with only 10 seconds left. But, Coach, we haven't made a field goal all season, and we don't have a good kicker. Remember, Michael injured himself last year. Can't we just try a different play for Tavon to catch a pass for a touchdown? Asked John, the quarterback. Tavon told the team with excitement, Russell can do it. He's an awesome kicker. So here we go. So we're in the game. You see the crowd laughing. You see me helping my player up. And you see our quarterback back there, John. He's kind of in disarray. So again, you know, most of you guys probably think we're losing. Some of you guys might think we're winning. So let's keep on reading. We got to find out what's going to happen. The team and Coach Green all look over toward their tall and skinny teammate who hasn't kicked for a field goal all season. So here we go. We have a championship game. We got seconds left on the clock, and we got to put a kid in that never kicked. But do y'all think we're going to make this field goal? Yeah, let's find out. Oh, man, we're going to lose. John and the other teammates begin to complain with doubt. He can't do it. Trust me, he can do it, guys, Tavon says. Okay, Tavon, Coach Green says. He looks towards Russell. You're in, kid. So right now, even Coach Green don't think that he's going to make it. But because Tavon said it, he believed it. All right? Russell put on his helmet and looked at Michael, wishing that he could do it instead. But then he took a breath and began to run on the field with his teammates, but quickly tripped over his own feet. So that's what happened in that picture. So here we go. So we're in a championship game, a few seconds left. Russell's running off. He's already nervous because he never kicked the ball and finally get his number called and he trips on the field. So again, you see John in the background with his head down. Oh, man. And the whole crowd is laughing. So the zoom in, like, even the other team is laughing. Everybody's laughing at Russell. All right. The entire stadium laughed. But the Colts players laughed especially hard. The Rams begin to shake their heads at their coach's decision. They're like, oh, my God, what are we going to do? Tavon helped Russell up and told him, it's okay. You can do it. I know you can. There we go. I ain't going to show you the picture yet. I'm going to do it backwards. Russell took a deep breath and took his place behind the ball. The stadium was completely quiet. Russell got a great running start to the ball, and boom! Russell squeezes his eyes shut because he can't stand and watch where the ball goes. Even Russell didn't think he'd be able to do it. The Rams win the championship. The Rams win the championship. The announcer screamed with excitement. The Rams were so excited and began to celebrate. Fans rushed the field cheering for the Rams championship victory. So here we go. I'm going to show you a little bit before I finish reading. Look at that. So Russell did it. All right, Russell did it. He kicked the game-winning field goal. All right. Coach Green told his team, "I'm so proud of you all. This has been an amazing season with an unexpected hero. Get your things. I'm taking you all out for pizza." My favorite. The teammates high-fived each other as they heard their bellies grumble with excitement. So, y'all, here we go with Tavon Does It All. So what happened so far is, despite what Russell has not done, Tavon was able to help him get some motivation, help get self-esteem up, to even trying to put it on his coaches. Like, hey, coach, we got to believe him, to even trying to get his teammates. And Russell was able to get over his fear, go on the field, and kick the game-winning field goal. So again, being an athlete, I know we all want to be athletes because we see what they do on television, but the key is how good are, not just being an athlete, how are you as a teammate? Are you there to try to help your team win, not just on the field, but off the field? Are you encouraging your teammate? Are you encouraging them to be great, helping them? Are you working out with them? If they're level below you, are you trying to help them to rise them up to get to that level? All right, so let's finish up. There we go. Oh, I told y'all to remember something, right? Y'all see it. It's on the field. That's the storybook. Let's see what's going on with this storybook. When everyone met Coach Green back on the field, Tavon was missing. Where's Tavon? Michael asked. Before anyone could answer, a big book came running through the tunnel from the locker room. It started to tell a great story with special voices for each character. There once was a special girl named Kaya. With her best friend Jalen, they did awesome things. Tavon's teammates' eyes grew big and their mouth hung open with surprise, like this, like. As you can see, look, I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna do a close-up. You can see, look, his eyes is wide open, his eyes wide open, his mouth is down. He's looking like, "Are you serious?" So we got a big book on the field. Let's see what else is going on. Uh-oh. What do we have? We got the report card, and I'm still in my uniform. But then a report card came running out too. It read aloud: student name, Tavon Mason, grade 3rd, card marking 1st, teacher, Miss Robinson, math he got an A, language arts an A, science a B, social studies a B, and reading an A. Tavon sprinted out of the tunnel, trying to catch the book and the report card. He was still in his uniform from the game. His teammates stood there watching it all happen. Coach Green was shocked too. So now we have the book and we have the report card running on the field. So remember what I told you guys at the beginning, that is more than just being an athlete. Are you a teammate, and are you successful in the classroom? Be able to get to that professional level in any sport, you have to have this together up top. And again, I showed you a picture of my college degree. You know, without that, where would I be at? I know I got to play in the football. I have the jerseys. I got the book. I got trading cards. None of that would have happened if I didn't graduate college and wanted to get my degree. Let's see what else is going on. So we have the book. We had a report card. What's missing? Do y'all know? Do y'all remember? All right, we're going to see. What do you guys see? Yeah, we got the slippers. And Tavon is poop. He's trying to catch everything. He just finished playing a game and he has to run again. Let's see what's going on with this. As Tavon ran after the book, out came a bunch of cartoon character slippers. "We're getting donated today," they said in their character voices. "We're going to special boys and girls at different children's hospitals." Tavon gasped for air from running and thought to himself, "Geez, there are too many things to catch." Everything that he kept in his gym bag was now running across the football field. The book read stories, the report card read his grades, and the cartoon character slippers were talking about getting donated to sick children. So again, if you remember early on in the podcast, I talked about that, doing the slipper drive, helping out in the neighborhoods, helping out in my community. Again, a report card and doing the stories. All right. So what is behind all of this, right? So remember, it's more than just being an athlete. And that's for my boys and my girls. It's more than just being athletes. All right. So you can see right here, Tavon is explaining to his teammates, like, what's going on? Because everybody like, dude, like, what? Are you crazy? Like, we don't know nothing about this. So what's going on? Finally, John asked Tavon, why do you have all these things with you? These are the other things that are important to me, Tavon answered. You don't just play football? TJ asked with surprise. No, I spend lots of time studying to have good grades. I love to read, and I collect cartoon character slippers for sick kids in the hospital who are in need of a little joy, Tavon said with a big smile on his face. Cameron looked down at his feet. What's the matter? Tavon asked. I only play football. So there we go. So now his teammates are starting to say, like, Dad, I thought our job was just trying to be football players. But yet you have getting good grades, helping out in the community, and reading. All right. So after explaining, now Tavon's teammates, they want to be on board. They're like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. There are so many other things that you could do too. All you have to do is just try some new things and pick what you like to do. It's never too late to start, Tavon said. You can even go with me to see if you like some of the things I do. With a smile on his face, Cameron said, you're right. You're almost to the end, so don't remember, I hope y'all didn't forget that we won a championship and where Coach Green was going to take us. Yeah, he took us to pizza. We got the trophy, and even with being a good teammate, it helped Russell come out of his shell. So Russell wound up being a kid no one looked at, no one cared for as far as being an athlete, and now he made the biggest kick of his life and of our team career. Tavon's teammate helped him catch all of his things, and they went out for pizza. While they sat and enjoyed a pizza with Coach Green, they all talked to Tavon about other things they might like to try. Coach Green smiled and said, my team is so awesome. Russell smiled at the coach, less shy than ever before. Yep, coach, like Tavon, we're going to do it all. Thank you, thank you.
That is a great story, and I want to say thank you so much for sharing it with our audience. Tavon, I want to give you, we are just about out of time, but I want to give you a minute to just really speak to two groups of people. Mm-hmm. And really, actually, I might make that three. Number one, to the youth. Yeah. Give them your message. Number two, to the parents. You have 5 kids. What do they need to hear? And number 3, let's be raw. Let's be transparent. Let's speak to the people of color. It is Juneteenth. It does feel like the deck is stacked against certain people in our society. And let's take a moment to celebrate and inspire the victories that we've seen recently. Okay?
Oh, yeah, definitely. To my kids, I said it earlier and throughout this podcast, and again, I thank you very much for allowing me to come on and speak. Dare to be great. It's simple. I know you guys will hear a lot of adults and a lot of people talk to you and tell you over and over again. I just use that dare to be great because it's straight to the point. At the end of the day, you have to believe that you can do what it is that you want to do. And I also would tell you guys, if you have so-called friends in your life who are not trying to make you better or not trying to push you away from doing things that will get you into trouble, or that's not how you were raised or your parents' message to you, it's okay to cut them out of your life. I know we have a thing of wanting to be loyal, but if they're not there to try to help you grow and be successful, they're not being loyal. They're being selfish of wanting you to be a part of their demise. I don't want to see that anymore. I'm tired of seeing our kids dying at a high rate at young ages of like 21 and younger, of parents having to bury their young men and girls and teenagers, where it's supposed to be the other way around, where we supposed to bury the parents. So it's okay, and I say this because I was like this, it's okay to be a nerd. I was a nerd. I graduated high school with a 3.65 grade point average. It's okay to be smart. It's okay to answer the question in class. Don't hide your greatness. That's greatness. When you know what is going on in the classroom, that's called greatness. And you're striving for that. And that's what your parents, guardians, that's what they want for you. So it's okay to be a nerd. And this is something that I have my kids say every morning, because we are in a world now where kids are so quick to down each other. I tell them to say, I am smart, I am blessed, I can do anything. So I want you guys to recite that as well. I have them say it in the morning. I have them say it before they go to bed, because we got to instill that message into you guys that you are smart, you are blessed, and you can do anything. Despite what everybody else is saying, you're going to have people that's going to tell you dumb, you stupid, or that idea is dumb. It's not dumb. If stuff was dumb, why do we have computers? First person that came up with the idea of a computer, why do we have that? If that's dumb, why do we have stuff like peanut butter, everything that we eat? Somebody came up with the stuff, but you guys have to believe it. To my parents, just keep plugging away. I know it's not easy. And I know some of you guys probably watch and say, oh, well, you're a former NFL player. I didn't have a lot of money. My 2 years, I didn't have a lot of money. I still have to work, and I'm still working hard to keep building for, for my family and my kids and for my wife. So, keep pushing. Even when it seems hard, keep pushing. The one thing that helped me over the last 5 years was getting truly spiritually connected, with God in my own way, not how somebody else want me to do it. I think a lot of times in society, we look for other people to put us in place by following certain social media accounts. And remember, a lot of stuff we see on social media is not true. It's what they want us to see. So take your own yellow brick road and build it your own way. But, find that spiritual connection every morning. I go to my Bible app. I listen to spiritual videos on YouTube, and that helps me gather my mental. So, find that thing that help gather your mental and keep loving your kids, even through the hard times. It's the same with me. It's tough with me as well. One thing I don't do is I don't sugarcoat anything. It's tough for me at times, but spiritual is helping me to, see through any flaws or hiccups my kids have, and also to help better myself. And just like you said, to, our people of color, Black and brown, keep pushing the message, and I also say to my Caucasian counterparts, thank you for those who opened their eyes and saw what happened in the last couple of years and are out there on the lines fighting to get that unity, that true unity, and not just a poster or a picture that, a lot of, politicians put out to get our votes, but truly are out there and inspired and wanting to help. We have to get unified. We have to get away from our old ways of thinking and become unified. That's the only way this country is going to flow smoother and be healthy as we do it together. So again, Kayla, I appreciate you allowing me to come on your platform to talk about my background, to read the children's book, and to talk in general. And to anybody out there that watches it, please, log on to her podcast, because she didn't have to do this. This is what she wanted to do, and she's doing it on her own narrative, and be able to put our voices out there for you guys, and always, always, always push to do what you feel is right for you, your family, and your area.
Thank you for that encouragement. Tavon, I ask every retired professional athlete on Legacy After the Locker Room to partner with me to make a donation to Special Olympics. Yeah. Can we count on you for your support, Tavon?
Oh, yeah, I definitely will. And, definitely if it's, my Tavon Does It All, I'd definitely like to send children book. One of my good friends, Molly King, we worked together at the middle school, and she worked with the CALS program, special needs kids. And I donated, I gave her and other good friend, Nathan Milak, who works with the other classroom, a copy of my book for her kids. As we spoke off air, Special Olympics and me working in special ed, it's just something about our kids with disabilities to see that fight. And I think the other thing is the things we care about and worry about, they don't care or worry about. But, Miss King had one young man, Valen, that I gave him a copy of Tavon Does It All, and she purchased a copy of my and Joel's book, The Justice Duo. And she would send me pictures in class that we had to go back in March. He would just sit there and stare at the inside cover of the book. So, and this is a kid that society probably would say, oh, he won't learn anything because he's special needs. But he knew who I was on a picture in the book, and he would sit there and look at that book every day. So, no, I definitely would. No, I definitely would support that.
Thank you. So let's do a quick recap for our listeners, for anybody who's listening to the podcast, not on the live stream. If people want to follow you on Instagram, it's Mr. T Mason. That's MR T Mason.
Yeah.
Title of the book, Tavon Does It All. Throwing up the link to Amazon up here on our live stream. If you're not watching the live stream, simply Google Amazon, Tavon Does It All. Reminding our listeners to join us at Sports Philanthropy World 2021 virtual conference on June 28th and 29th. That'll be all about sports philanthropy. For more information, visit sportsphilanthropynetwork.org. Tavon, we're just about out of time. I want to give you about a minute to thank the people that you need to thank and give us your parting words of wisdom.
I just, of course, thank my family, thank my wife and my kids, for giving my time to go out in the public and do the things. It's hard work and it takes time and effort, and they are part of all the events that I've done, and even my friends that have helped, throughout the years. And also, again, if you want to see what we do in the community, go to TavonMasonLovesTheKids.org. And one thing I would say to people when they say how can I help? I say, go to that website, check out the stuff that we do, because I want you guys to realize that the things that we do comes out of my pocket or people donating. I'm not doing it. I don't take any money that's given to me and stick in my pocket, go right back out the window. So I have pictures, videos of everything up there. And also my books are up there as well, but videos of us going to the children's hospital. So, that's a huge place to go. And you also follow our foundation Instagram page at Tavon Mason Loves the Kids. Yeah. And thank you again, Kayla.
You are so welcome. Well, folks, my name is Kayla Bradham, host of Legacy After the Locker Room, here with today's guest, NFL alumni Tavon Mason, reminding you to live your legacy. Thank you, Tavon.
Yeah. Bye-bye.